Hi, I'm Brandon Morris, Vice President of Wisconsin Evolution. Very lucky to have Jason Coker, the President of Wisconsin Evolution, with us. Jason, how you doing?
Good.
My man.
Good. Nice to see you.
So, how did you get started with the game of basketball?
Uh, Kind of an ironic story. I played baseball as a kid growing up. That's all that I did until about seventh grade. And my group of friends at that time would argue over who had Coker because I was that bad at basketball. But because I was such a competitor, I essentially quit baseball 100%
Wow.
and dove into basketball. And I learned how to play at Lincoln Park. My stepfather also took me down to Evanston, Illinois, where I was shocked into learning how to play the game, being tough, trying to persevere. And that competitiveness, I think, kind of was just a byproduct of how my upbringing. My dad died when I was 6 months old, so never met that side of my family. And so sports and competition was kind of my outlet.
Okay.
And that's kind of what led me into to the game of basketball because my friends thought I was that bad. So
Wow. So, with you being that bad, but you being a extremely competitive player, where did that take your basketball career?
Well, first I started at Lincoln. I remember my first year playing basketball. Coach Johnny J. Grimes. He brought me over to the ninth grade court, and he told me to go set a pick. And I remember looking at my friend and, what's the pick? I had no idea what a pick was. The next season, I ended up becoming co-MVP.
Wow.
and most improved on the team. Went to Tremper, and at the time when I tried out, I didn't know this at the time. There was a lot of kids that tried out, and I was actually the very last one to make it. By the time the season started, I started every game. Then I went to senior year of high school. I went down to Mississippi and played. Became all-conference point guard down there.
Wow.
And then I transitioned to a junior college, Northeastern Mississippi, ICC. So I went and played there, and I struggled at the college level. I didn't have this lustrous career. I was a player that was a role player, and I would play good D, and I'd spot up, and guys like you, I love playing with guys like you. You know, you made me look way better. So, but then I actually went. I got in a car accident. And I had to redshirt a year. In the process of doing so, I ended up transferring to a school that was close enough to home, so I could bring home the laundry, so to speak, but didn't have to stay home.
Right.
And I didn't know what I walked into, but it was a school, UW Platteville.
Okay.
So I get there, I go through this preseason training, which is absolutely obnoxious. It's Division III,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of finding this out as I go. But they were national contenders the year before.
Right.
A couple years before that, they won a couple national championships. We had a 450-foot hill that we had to run 20 times. We had a mile jog there, do the 20 hills, mile jog back. We would do tread water afterwards. So this was very extensive, and I remember kind of asking a couple guys like, what's going on? You know, we don't get paid for this. We don't get scholarships for this. You know, most guys that are playing at that level, it's just because they still want to play.
Right.
So I find out about that, and then I actually had some issues transferring credits from the state of Mississippi to Wisconsin, and I would have been late rotation on that team, probably 8th, 9th, 10th on that squad, and Coach Paul Ryan calls me in. He had been trying to help me a little bit to try to get through the appeals process. So inevitably, my GPA ended at 1.97, and you have to have a 2.0 in order to play.
Yep.
And that was pretty devastating for me. Oh, by the way, they went ahead and went like 34-1 and won the national championship.
Wow.
So that was too much for me to handle. I took the easy way out, blamed everybody, quit school. And then I thought about it for a little bit and kind of got that itch back. And I called the NCAA, asked to see if I would still be eligible since I sat out that semester, the spring semester. Yep, you're good to go as long as you sit out. So I train all during the spring and the summer. I come back, absolutely starting this year, especially when I got there and I know who I was going up against.
Right.
And then halfway through the preseason training again, I get a call. I go down to the office, and there's a problem.
Oh.
And of course, my heart sunk immediately. I'm like, well, I called the NCAA. They said it was okay. They're like, no, that's right. So inside, I'm thinking, oh, thank God. She's like, but that's not the school's policy. I'm like, oh. So, needless to say, I was ineligible, couldn't play, and they went undefeated that year and won a national title. So that kind of wrapped up my basketball career.
Oh.
But thanks to Coach Ryan, he actually helped me out getting a coaching job at Kenosha St. Joe's, which I inevitably ended up meeting you. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it.
Okay. So looking back on your path with basketball in life, what does that mean to you personally? What does that?
Basketball, I'd argue, a lot of folks are attached to sports because of their experiences. I'd argue that, mine is probably a little bit different from the struggles I had growing up as a kid, without a father, not knowing my side of the family, and basketball was essentially my outlet. That was my peace and harmony. Earlier we had talked, and you had mentioned about that gentleman scraping off the court at Lincoln. Same thing I did at a friend's house down the road. My hands would get cold enough that it'd be numb and it was fine. It's always been that outlet for me, but it was also that platform for me that it kept me straight. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me focused. And it made me a believer in the fact that if you set goals, if you set something in front of you, you can accomplish it. So inevitably, I think when it comes to the meaning of basketball for myself, it's life. It's a teaching tool. It's a platform where you can really help grow as a person.
Okay. Now, Wisconsin Evolution.
Yes.
Evolve or get left behind. How did this even come about? This wasn't always here.
Correct. So after my basketball days of playing were over, obviously I couldn't stay away. I ended up working for a tournament company. Ended up running tournaments all over the country, the nationals, running camps. I was officiating. I'd argue that I officiated way too much. There were times where I would officiate 20 games in a weekend. So along that path, along with coaching, over time, there were just subtle things that I would notice that were good or that could be better. And evolution really is kind of that summation of my experiences and what I wanted to provide here for our youth. Because we have the traveling programs. We just established the feeder programs for all three major high schools, which has never been done before in our town.
Right.
We have the camps and the leagues and the tournaments and the training. I find myself always looking back thinking, what if I had someone that could have shown me what to do? I worked very hard. I wasn't gonna dunk on you. I wasn't gonna cross you over and make the whole crowd go crazy. But what if I could have trained? What if I had the right platform to see what my weaknesses were and work on them? What if I had somebody help me along the way, understand the process of when you transfer schools, how important your GPA is, financial aid, making the right decision on selecting the school. All these things I just did on a whim. I'm thankful for my path, but that's kind of where evolution came from.
So, as far as the community involvement, and when you tie Wisconsin Evolution into that, how does Wisconsin Evolution represent the community?
That's, I'd argue that's probably our main focus. When I had traveling teams before, I guess you really couldn't say I had a program because I didn't have multiple teams,
Right.
but I would take one team and go with them 4 or 5 years. I always felt when I had those teams, it was important, especially for the companies or the people that would donate to our program to help our kids, to take them to their place of business and clean up their property,
Right.
or do things in the community. There's a lot of programs out there that do great things. However, there's not a program out there like Evolution that makes a focus of constantly giving time back and money, as much as we can. The focus is on the local charities. We want to make that impact, just like we did with Lily Lockman. We'll be making our first tournament, which is in early November. We now are going to select the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Kenosha, and based off of what happens out of that tournament, we're going to donate to them. So that's what we want to set forth moving forward for all of our youth, so they understand that you have to give back when you get older, and you don't have to even wait till you get older. You can do it now.
Right.
I think a lot of people fall in that loop that, once they become successful,
Then they can.
yeah, then they can do it. Why not now?
Right.
So that's the reason why we have the focus that we do.
So why do you do it? You don't get paid for this.
Yes.
This is not a,
Hopefully someday, but yeah.
this is
No,
not a
no.
multi-million-dollar company.
Mhm.
Why do you do it?
Building that brotherhood, the relationships that we had talked about earlier. The game of basketball connects people in the community. It also allows for our youth to focus on their life moving forward in regards to their future. And if you tie in the community give back, if you tie all these things in together, it really helps them be it helps them become a more or a better member of our society. And the biggest reason why I do it is because I love the game of basketball. I love being able to see a kid improve, especially the ones that maybe were at the end of the bench that didn't play that much, and they become better. So being able to build relationships, helping kids grow on and off the court, that's absolutely why I do it.
Well, you guys heard it here. Wisconsin Evolution's president, Jason Coker, myself, Brandon Morris, vice president, Wisconsin